Hey guys, and welcome to this week's video. For those of you who've been following along, you'll notice that there's a new name for the channel and a new intro to these videos. And the reason for that is that I decided to create the Invincible Love Project so that this space can feel more collaborative. That's been my intention for it, and that's what I want to continue to grow in this space. So if you want to know more about kind of what I'm thinking for the channel and where I see it going for now as we get it started, you can watch the intro video, which is on the homepage of the Invincible Love YouTube channel now. So this week I'd like to talk about the idea of being in the closet and coming out. I've found myself having a lot more conversations lately about and with folks who are in the closet. And as I started thinking about the qualities of being in the closet, I started thinking about the different ways in which we all are in the closet in some ways, and what qualities are underneath being in the closet, and how can we start to look at that and be with those things in healthier ways for us. So when I think back on my personal experience of being in the closet, I think back on kind of when I started to realize my sexuality and my attraction to men, and knowing that that didn't fit in with the environment that I was in, that was not acceptable for that environment. And it's kind of hard to delineate because it didn't just start at that point, because when I look back, I look at the messages that I received as a young person about what it meant to be a boy, what qualities were good, what qualities were not good. And so it's kind of hard to separate. There wasn't a point at which I saw myself in the closet, because I was getting these messages from such a young age. So, I remember hearing or getting feedback that things that I did were girly or too much like a girl, which I realize now was code for small town East Texas Christians saying you're gay. Which I didn't even know what that meant at that time, but I did know that it was a threat to my connection with other people, and so I knew it was bad, and I knew it was something that I had to keep an eye on. It's something I had to moderate so that I could maintain connection with the people in my life. I also, as I got older, I started monitoring what words I used. Every word I used, every phrase, every intonation, I would run through my head first to make sure that it was toned down in a way that was seen as masculine enough. And from what I know about connection now, I know that it's really like a tightrope, and it's really impossible to build authentic connection with other people when we're preoccupied in using all of this energy to make sure that we're being perceived a certain way. So I look back on that young man and I feel a lot of sadness for him, and I also feel a lot of compassion for him, because I know that he was doing the best that he could in the circumstances that he was in. And when I look back at how those things started to change, it was when I met my best friend in college, Carol, who was able to create a space in which I could be fully myself and be comfortable in that. And I was able to be authentic and grow into myself because she created a space that was safe for me to do that. So what Carol provided for me was connection and authentic connection. And when I think of what is underneath the fear that keeps us in the closet, whether it's about our sexuality or other things, I think it is based in the fear of disconnection. And another word for the fear of disconnection is shame. So shame needs three things to thrive. It needs secrecy, and it needs silence, and it needs judgment. So when we can recognize our stories, when we can confide in people that we trust, and when we can be compassionate with ourselves rather than judgmental with ourselves, then we start to move away from shame. So what shame does is really put us into this catch-22 where if we're living in shame and we're not recognizing that and we're not getting support around it, then we are doing things that keep us from connecting with other people to take care of ourselves. So there's this catch-22. We feel like we're taking care of ourselves, but we're also not connecting authentically with other people and getting the support that we need around what we're feeling shame about. And so we're kind of caught in this cycle because, where do we get support when we can't create authentic connection? So again, we all experience shame, and we can think traditionally of what it means to be in the closet, and that's traditionally around our sexuality, and that's around fear of disconnection. But we all have areas in our life in which shame comes up, in which we get this message of not being good enough, and in which we feel like fear of disconnection runs our life. So those are areas that we can think about and we can dig into and use these same supports that we would use for coming out with our sexuality. Again, secrecy, silence, and judgment are the three things that shame needs to thrive. So if we can move away from those, then by getting meaningful support, by recognizing our stories and speaking those, and by being compassionate with ourselves, then that works in whether it's related to our sexuality or whether it's related to another area of our life in which we have fear of disconnection and in which we experience shame. So sometimes other people, again, like Carol gave me that gift, sometimes other people can do this for us before we're capable of doing it for ourselves. That can be in our trusted friendships. It could be in our spiritual communities that affirm us, or from spiritual leaders that affirm us. It can be in professional relationships like coaches, counselors, therapists. Sometimes when the shame really has dug in and has its claws in deep, it's hard to get out of that ourselves. And so seeking that support from other people helps us move out of that. One of my hopes for this community is that we can create a space in which we can support one another in this way. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the videos, please share them with folks that you think might enjoy them. Also, give them a thumbs up and like them, and subscribe if you're enjoying the videos. Together, we can build this community where we can support one another. I'm curious about your experiences with shame. If there are areas in your life that you feel comfortable sharing in which you have fear of disconnection or have had that in the past, what have your experiences been like being in the closet and coming out? I would love to hear that from you guys. Thank you for joining me in building the Invincible Love Project. I'll see you next time.